It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles.
Welcome in. It's Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio. Happy week before Christmas, everyone. I'm Jeff Parles. We have our own tree. We have whatever the heck this thing is that Alex brought in. Oh, my goodness. Alex White is here as well. Alex, what is this thing?
So I was at Enchant Saturday night, and somebody homemade these. He was the only Steelers one there, so I knew I had to grab him for the studio with, how many Pittsburgh guys we have around here.
See, there you go. If we can, I don't know if we can zoom even further on this thing, but it's a gnome that is made out of newspaper or book pages.
Yep.
One of the two of them. Again, Frank Nicotero, as we know. Did you know Frank's from Pittsburgh? Did you know that, Alex?
I just found out today.
He, of course, a resident Steeler fan with us on the network right now. Did they just get out of that bowl game to go to the NFL, the Monday Night Preview show? All right, we're gonna have to give Jerry a task here real quick. In mid-show, we have to go up one channel on the television that's on in the corner, up one, and we can get the end of the first ever. Yeah, see, there we go. Jerry's got it. The first ever famous Toastistry Bowl. Yes, that is a thing. In Charlotte.
Was the Bahamas Bowl, right?
Was the Bahamas Bowl, but they are renovating the National Stadium in the Bahamas this year. Thomas Robinson National Stadium. And this game has been, even by ridiculous bowl standards, it's been completely idiotic. Western Kentucky down 21 going into the fourth quarter. They force overtime. They inexplicably kick the PAT as well down in the final play of the game. By the way, Old Dominion has the ball in overtime. They picked up a 3rd and 13. So they now have it 2nd and 7 with the ball first in a 35-35 game. Pure idiocy that only bowl season can bring us, Alex.
Blocked kick, gave them the chance to come back and force Western Kentucky get them to this point. But you were mad that they went for the extra point.
It was horrible. They deserve to lose now. You deserve to lose when you have all the momentum on your side. Now, granted, I'm not a big believer in momentum, but in that circumstance, I believe it's real. And you got the defense on their toes, and you go for the win in that spot. If you're Western Kentucky, by the way, Old Dominion down to 1st and goal at the 3. So they're about to punch it in here in this first overtime session. They won't go for 2 if they didn't go for 2 at the end of regulation. They won't go for 2 if let's say Old Dominion scores a touchdown and Western Kentucky scores right back on them. They're not going to go for 2 until they're required to at this rate.
Right. Yeah.
Boy. Also, by the way, we had the first ever penalty on a team for an official falling over his own feet. We had that as well. Yeah, it's had it all. And the famous Toastistry Bowl. Hopefully one and only famous Toastistry Bowl. Go out with a bang. Go out with a bang, Toastistry. Let's do it. And as Alex said, this was the Bahamas Bowl beforehand. Let's go to Monday Night Football, though. The Philadelphia Eagles, Seattle Seahawks. First ever Monday Night Flex game. This was supposed to be in the afternoon yesterday, and they got flexed into Monday night. They actually would have got a reasonable game with Kansas City and New England a day ago. That game wasn't awful. Patriots lost that game by 10. Pushed, depending on whatever number, or won on KC if you got the early numbers. Alex, Jalen Hurts is going to play. That report coming out of Philadelphia right now, and the number has spiked because of it. Was as low as 2.5, now up to 5 behind us. There's 5.5 in the market as well. Actually, as low as 2, I should say, yesterday morning. We don't know yet on Geno Smith. He is out there trying to warm up. Questionable groin. They moved Sean Mannion from the practice squad up. So all signs pointing to at the moment that Drew Lock is going to get a second consecutive start for Seattle, who really needs the game at 6 and 7. Now, granted, the schedule softens considerably the next 3 weeks to end the year, where they're going to be a road favorite at Tennessee and may be Ryan Tannehill for the Titans with the injury that Will Levis suffered at the end of that loss to Houston yesterday. Pittsburgh, who is a lead balloon at the moment, and the Arizona Cardinals, who, look, are pesky, but the Seahawks are better than them.
Yeah, so they're getting 4 points here. It's really just a matter of, is that enough? Because they covered in their last 2 games against the other NFC juggernauts and the Cowboys and the Niners, but they were getting 9.5 against the Cowboys and 14.5 against the Niners. So 4 here, it seems a little short, but they are at home. I do like the Seahawks in this spot. Like you mentioned, 6 and 7, they need these wins, and they could win outright if they can put up a fight here, keep this game close, and possibly even win it. So I like the 4 points, even with the question marks with Geno Smith, because Drew Lock, he did do well against San Francisco, 22 of 31, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he also did have 2 interceptions. But we've seen their defense step up a lot as of late. They even picked off Purdy last week, and Philly's got their question marks, especially defensively, and now they're without their best cornerback in Darius Slay. So a lot going on here. I know the Eagles have lost 2 in a row, and it's really unfathomable to picture them losing 3 in a row, but I think the Seahawks have the most motivation in this one.
Well, it's kind of a two-way street here on this, where you're looking at the Eagles. By the way, Old Dominion just had the field goal blocked in overtime after they got stuffed 3 straight plays from the one and then false started.
Wow.
So Western Kentucky's probably going to win this game now after all this nonsense that has occurred in Charlotte. So back to your point, though. Philadelphia wins this game here, okay? They win this game. They go Giants, Cardinals, Giants end the season. They're going to be a double-digit favorite, at least in the 2 home games. They'd probably be short of 10 against the Giants in the Meadowlands Week 18. But you basically then put yourself in a scenario where you win out. Niners, again, it doesn't look like the Niners are going to stumble with the juggernaut they've been, but if they're ever going to stumble, it could come on Monday night against Baltimore, where it's 1 seed v. 1 seed right now for the best record in the NFL on Monday night in Santa Clara. If you're the Eagles, win out, you give yourself at least an opportunity to get the 1 seed, where if you're going to have any shot of beating the Niners in the postseason, now granted we saw this game 2 weeks ago and the Niners drilled them, but it's a little bit different going to Philadelphia in January as opposed to early December here, where it's a playoff scenario and the Eagles will have had to play 1 playoff game as opposed to 2. Again, I'm not saying the Eagles will beat the Niners in a playoff scenario. I'm not saying the Niners are going to lose on Monday. I think the Niners are going to beat Baltimore pretty soundly on Monday night, especially if Baltimore plays like they did for 3 quarters last night, where they were outplayed and Jacksonville kept stepping on rakes like Sideshow Bob in The Simpsons, basically. So it is a fascinating game tonight. I have no play on it. I'm curious to see how far this goes up, though, with the anticipation Drew Lock gets the start.
Yeah, I am too. 4, though, it hasn't moved a whole lot, and we've kind of known that we've had question marks on both sides. So you think it'll go up even more?
Well, we're at 5.5 right now.
Oh, it is. Okay.
We're at 5.5. I don't know if we'll go higher than that. It seems no one's gone to 6. So I wonder if that's the resistance. Is 5.5 is the resistance point here? I just wonder if we have hit that and we're not going to see a 6. If we see a 6, it's going to be hard to pass on Seattle. That's all I'll say. If we get to 6, I don't think. How big was the bet?
6. Was it 60 or 600? I don't know. We'll have to.
And we'll be able to get it.
Yeah. So we discussed this a lot, but I like Metcalf tonight. I mean, the Eagles have given up the 2nd most passing touchdowns this year, so I was already leaning towards that. Any prop bets you like tonight?
No. The only thing I will say, the Eagles have had so much more success when they've been able to control games on the ground. So the problem is you don't know exactly which running back you're getting. Now, yes. I would imagine it'd be Swift more so than anyone, but you're still not 100% certain of which guy you're going to get as the number 1 back at times there with the Eagles. So that would be the only way that I would look at it tonight. Again, 5.5 right now. There are actually some take back at some spots back to 5. So I think 5.5 is going to be that point of resistance either way on this one. Just looking ahead to this upcoming week, the AFC playoff picture is beyond ridiculous at this point. And the Bills yesterday, just that game was never competitive, just totally destroying Dallas. The Bengals, of course, won on Saturday. The Browns survive barely a game where they were outplayed for the majority of it, and then somehow Darnell Mooney couldn't come up with the Hail Mary that was legitimately in his hands, and they survive and move to 9-5. there's a three-way tie at the top of the AFC South now. Jacksonville has let everyone back in. They lose last night in a game where, quite frankly, they were the better team for 3 quarters and just continually screwed themselves up in that game. Houston with Case Keenum came from behind, won in overtime. Indy won comfortably after getting down 13-0 to Pittsburgh on Saturday. And Alex, Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence in concussion protocol, which who knows if he'll be able to go on Sunday. We saw C.J. Stroud miss after suffering a concussion the week previous. Missed that game yesterday. Houston and Indy this week plays your beloved Atlanta Falcons, who don't know who's playing quarterback at this point, where quarterback and coach should be gone for that team moving forward after the year. Houston gets Cleveland in a gigantic AFC playoff tilt. And the Jags right now lines off the board behind us, and I think that's right. It's mostly pick, and quite frankly, I'm going to bet Tampa in that game, unless if Lawrence gets cleared, then I have to hesitate. But I might just take a piece of Tampa at pick and say, all right, not many guys have, other than Purdy, basically, no one has cleared concussion protocol in the same week and played the following week. So I like Tampa in that game. And the Bucs, who, yes, you may be buying them at the wrong time. It is possible you're buying them at the wrong time because of that performance. Like yesterday, Baker, perfect passer rating against Green Bay. I think the Bucs are the better team at the moment with the way Jacksonville has fallen off these last 3 weeks.
I'm with you there. I mean, Tampa looked really good yesterday against a good Packers team who had a lot to play for. And I really think since they've gotten Chris Godwin in the game more, that has helped their offense so much, because for a lot of the season, we just saw Mike Evans over and over, and now we're seeing a combination of those two, and Tampa Bay's playing their best football. It was funny. They started better than everybody expected. They went through a stretch where they lost 5 in a row, and then now we're seeing them start to come back to life with 3 straight wins here. So I think it's a good time. I don't think it's the wrong time to jump on the Bucs. I would definitely look to them against the Jaguars.
By the way, Western Kentucky wins on a field goal, 38-35. Down 21 in the fourth. Good enough for a comeback. And Epic
I had
wanted
an
that.
ugly number, so I
still got there.
I like that, yeah.
It's 28-0 as well in this game as well. Just, look, you get some weird stuff in this bowl season, but when you get 2 teams that aren't particularly well coached, you can get real ridiculous, and we sure did. And the first and probably only famous Toastistry Bowl in that one. All right. Boy, there are a lot of complaining from people who bet Old Dominion, and quite frankly, I can't blame them. Can't blame them on that one. Just going back to the AFC playoff picture as a whole, just this race where right now there's only 4 teams that are out officially in the AFC playoff, Chase. The Jets, the Titans, the Chargers aren't even technically eliminated, but they're done. It's Easton Stick, and a team that just gave up 63, and the Patriots.
That number opened 14. Bills minus 14.
I'm gonna be honest with you. When I know the Chargers have been bet. When I was just going through stuff, I actually made the number 17.
You did?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I didn't, and I made it 10. So
mostly because there's. Let me explain myself.
Please, yes.
No home field advantage at all. If anything, it's a negative because let's think about this for a second. December 22nd or 23rd, I should say, is Saturday in Western New York versus December 23rd in Los Angeles. We all going to be mostly Bills fans, probably 70-30 Bills fans at the game, and maybe even more egregious than that for the Chargers. Now, I understand you don't want to overreact to the team's worst performance, arguably in the history of the franchise. And Easton Stick, he put up some numbers at the end of the game. He's not good. You fire Staley, maybe you get a bump from that. But Buffalo and me is now you're starting to, if you want to start pushing Buffalo back into the realm of the top of the league, I get it now. Because over the last month, they've started to look like that team. And yesterday was as good of a performance as they've had all year, probably their best performance. I know some will argue Miami, but the way they just sucked the life out of Dallas yesterday was more impressive to what they did to Miami back in week 4, where they just bludgeoned them, and Miami's defense was an embarrassment in that game.
Well, what do you think about Josh Allen's numbers and the fact that they finally used him correctly and didn't put it all on him?
Well, I will say this, and I'm sure this will come across as a shot at Josh Allen, and it's not. When it's no coincidence that this run coincided, and look, I was wrong. I thought Dorsey was scapegoated. He wasn't. With the way this offense has looked since he was fired, there's balance. You now can, the fact that James Cook has looked as good as he has, and James Cook was barely used while Ken Dorsey was there. Heck, they even took him off the field in that Denver game for the whole first half, despite the fact that he was the best player on the offense in that game because he fumbled on the first play. But I don't think it's a coincidence that this team, which, look, their offensive, I don't think their offensive line is a particularly good pass blocking offensive line. They would give up a ton of sacks if Allen was not as hard to bring down as he is, but they can really run block. And no coincidence to me that this run has coincided with running the football and committing to run the football in an era where no one, as I asked you before the show, Alex, how many 1,000-yard rushers are there? Now, granted, there's still 3 weeks to go, but there's only one guy over 1,000 yards right now, and that's Christian McCaffrey. There are only 10 guys who are over 800 yards. It is a whole era where no one's committed to running the football. And, you know, when the whole league zigs, sometimes you have to zag. And that has worked for Buffalo since the change of coordinator.
You're right. James Cook, 179 yards yesterday with a touchdown. And Josh Allen, when I was talking about his numbers, 7 for 15 with 94 yards. Didn't have to do much.
Didn't have to do anything.
31-10 win over Dallas. So you're right. Definitely working for them. And we'll see if they can continue. They play much better in this role without the expectations and being the top team and the favorite to win the Super Bowl, rather with their backs against the wall and playing down this stretch.
Well, look, I think there is something about being an underachiever and coming on strong at the end, where this Buffalo team was the biggest underachiever through the first half of the year. And now, look, if they get they need the home playoff game, at least a home playoff game. So it's get the first game at home and then see what happens from there. Maybe you get an upset in wild card weekend and get a second home game. But they need the home field. I don't think this team's going on the road and winning 3 games. Now, if they only have to go on the road and win 1 or 2, different story. And by the way, with the way that AFC East looks, Miami is a 2-game lead, sure. But Miami, Dallas this week, short favorite at home. They're going to be a dog in Baltimore week 17, and then they get Buffalo at home week 18. This division not over. It is far from over. And with the fact that Buffalo's, again, by the way, I'm going to lay Buffalo on Saturday night. I can tell you that right now. If this thing gets to 10, it might be one of the bigger bets of the weekend. But they're going to be double digits against New England the following week, too. So the path is there for Buffalo to sneak in the back door, win the AFC East, and then that AFC playoff picture looks very, very different than Buffalo either being a wild card or potentially, Alex, if they go 10-7, they could still be out completely because this is a jumbled mess, and they do terribly in the tiebreakers because of how they played earlier in the year.
It is wild. And then going back to the AFC South, I like the Colts this weekend, too.
I agree with you.
So they do have a chance to sneak in and take that one from Jacksonville as well. I don't think the Texans really do. I mean, they, like you said, they got that win, found a way with Case Keenum, but I don't think that's a long-term solution.
So Houston, it all depends on can C.J. Stroud come back. When is he coming back? You assume that it's a 1-week deal with a concussion.
Right.
And the numbers that are out there right now, they should be a small favorite at home if C.J. Stroud plays against Cleveland. They should be. And then they play Tennessee at home. They'll be favored in that game. They would have been favored if Stroud was playing, or at least would have been a pick in that game if Stroud was playing. And then they play Indy, where if both these teams win these last 2 games, if Jacksonville loses once and Indy and Houston win their next 2, and it's a real chance that both teams are favored in both their games, winner of that game wins the division. And these were the 2 ridiculous long shots at the beginning of the year in this division. Both of these teams had 6.5 win totals. And I thought, all right, first off, how is Houston getting there unless if something weird happens? They're there easily. And in Indy, it's like, all right, well, this team's not any good either. And here they are, both of them right in the thick of it, and at least one's getting to the playoffs, Alex.
Oh, I completely agree. They are both playing really good. And I was down on the Colts until watching that game against the Steelers. Granted, I mean, they made a couple mistakes early on, but it was all them that second half.
Dominant showing in that second half. Steelers, by the way, going with Mason Rudolph if Kenny Pickett's not ready to go. That, I can tell you right now, will not work either. By the way, down to 4.5 and 5 on this game tonight. So this is going to be a bouncer all over the place as we get ready to go for Monday Night Football.
From what I understand, Public is on the Eagles and the Sharps are on the Seahawks. Is that what you've gathered as well?
Uh-huh. I mean, I think it's just trying to play the market more than anything right now. And you know what? The perfect person just walked in. And we're going to get him. Who? You. Vincenzo Magliulo. Vinny Magliulo is going to join us next. We'll ask him what's going on exactly with this bouncer right now for Monday Night Football when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books, 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza. Plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the Racebook. Over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
Welcome back in. Sports by the Book is the show. South Point Studio is the site. I'm Jeff Parles. Alex White is here, and now joining us, the man who's got a lot of names in this studio. All good, all good. The baritone himself. He's got the tea and honey in hand today.
Tea, honey, and not enough bourbon.
Not enough bourbon. I agree. Our guy Vincenzo Vinny Magliulo here.
Jeffrey, Alex, good to be with you. I have to say, let me start off by saying, and we oftentimes talk about it, but I always want to point it out. We have a lot of visitors here, and we saw it last week, right, with the rodeo, and what a great turnout, what a response, people from all over the country, and during the Formula One all over the world. But I got to tell you, we got to give a shout out to our locals because the locals that come here, and I was just stopped by a couple of guys that I see on a regular basis. They're sitting in the front row, and they remember me from another stop in my career along the way. Mm-hmm. And Chris, Jimmy, and I. And the entire property, from Michael Gond and Ryan Growney, our general manager, everybody comes. Always appreciate our locals who, no matter what, whether it's a weekday like today, post-event day, or even during the events, they always make it a point to come down, and we really appreciate. We don't want that to go unnoticed. We'll appreciate the folks that live in here in Las Vegas and come and see us.
Thank you for shouting Alex and I out.
Absolutely, because you do the same thing, right? You're not just here for the show. You guys, of course, you love this. This is your new favorite viewing spot. This is like your man cave.
No, this is you said it perfectly. This is a great for us in studio, and this is one perk of being here for us On Sundays, we just sit back, relax.
Pretty cool, isn't it?
Alex listens to my nonsense for hours on end. It's a whole lot of fun.
I must admit, though, you do have there's a little bit of bookmaker in you because I do see quite a bit of pacing.
I always. So
very good.
Bookmaker or play-by-play because, I mean, he calls things out before the guys do up there. So it is
especially for the Jets. I know.
I couldn't help them yesterday. I don't think.
No.
I don't.
Joe Namath couldn't help them yesterday.
I don't think Santa Claus could help them either yesterday.
Not at all.
Unless if he gave them a whole new team.
Yeah.
Before we get to tonight,
yes,
that bowl game that just ended, the famous Toastistry Bowl.
Yes,
where Western
never disappoints, does it?
Western Kentucky down 28-0, down 21 in the fourth, come back and win in overtime. All right, this was a big line mover throughout because of absences on Western Kentucky's side.
Yeah.
So how did this result end up being for you guys with the way it went?
Actually, good. So I was a couple of minutes late coming in because Chris and I were watching a game in the back, and so when Western Kentucky scored. We're like, hey, it's the bowl game, right? You got to go for 2, right? No.
Yes.
No.
100%.
Let's go to overtime. Why?
Yes.
Right? I mean,
third string quarterback.
Oh,
come
on, Alex.
I'm just,
come on.
I mean, come on now. So anyway, got that great defensive stand though in the overtime. So it was a good result for the House. But I have to tell you, full disclosure, yesterday was a day for the bettors. They had a good day yesterday. Bettors are in a good position tonight with this game here. Especially when we're going to need the dog, but it looks like, clearly the way the number is moving and has moved and continues to move, it looks like Jalen Hurts is going to be a go.
Yes.
And probably going to see Drew Lock for the Seahawks.
So Gino right now warming up.
Yeah.
Going through his routine.
Yeah.
The numbers crashed in a lot of spots. You guys are still market high now at 5.
At 5,
it's crashed to 4.
Mm-hmm.
It basically everywhere else. You and I, we had this discussion the other day. I don't think a compromised Gino is any different than this version of Drew Lock. So
fair point.
I think this is a little bit of an overreaction if this is being bet because people think Gino's going to play. I don't buy that. I'd actually be more inclined to bet Philadelphia at the lower number if Gino's in.
Yeah. And I think, but don't forget now, yesterday we were at 2.5 on this game. Mm-hmm. Remember, because it looked like, the word came out that Jalen Hurts was ill. I did hear a comment by Adam Schefter earlier today, and Adam Schefter, he does terrific work, constantly monitoring what's happening with the NFL. He brought up a good point and I think it's probably pretty valid, pretty accurate, that had this game not gotten flex, right? Because
he probably
if the game
wouldn't have
was
played
yesterday, he probably wouldn't have played.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts. So obviously another 24 hours or more so. Because it would have been a day game yesterday. It certainly helped him. So I think it's safe to say that we'll see Jalen Hurts tonight. Whether or not Geno Smith plays still remains a question mark, but he's clearly not 100%. And groin injuries, ankle injuries, groin injuries are just, they're one little tweak. Alex, when you were cheering, which I don't know how you folks do that stuff. It's amazing. Just it kind of lingers, and the slightest when you could tweak it on the slightest move, it's so it just lingers.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of concerned with Jalen Hurts too, though. He was so sick that he thought about not traveling, then traveled separately from the team.
Right? Yeah.
So we'll see how that lingers too. We saw Patrick Mahomes in his sick game of this year, and didn't work out so well for them. So should be a good game regardless. How are they betting the total?
Under. 45. Remember, we opened at 47.5. Again, just to remind folks that Chris Andrews puts the numbers out on Sunday night, the previous Sunday night, after the Sunday night kickoff. So this game did come out last Sunday night, 47.5. Kind of a steady. It was actually 47.5 going into the weekend too. But with the quarterback news, under money has come in. So, it's sometimes a bit deceiving too, because sometimes you see a very loose game, or Chris and I were talking about a game back in the early '80s, and I remember, this is for the sake of discussion here, and this has more to do with weather. It was a game in Denver between the Packers and the Broncos, and of course there were no cell phones, and everybody was trying. We're looking, and there's money coming in on the under. We were at the Barbary Coast at the time, which is now the Cromwell. I think that's what they call it. Anyway, we still call it the Barbary Coast. So anyway, we're watching, and all of a sudden the TV picture comes on, and it's just a blizzard, right? And you see this total just plummet. It went over before halftime, so you just never know whether it's weather or a situation like this. And players come out, there's some loose, a little bit loose. Maybe there's a turnover deep in opponents' territories, things like that happen. So,
well, they're betting under because the defensive genius Matt Patricia is calling the defense for Philadelphia now.
He's still on that Patricia. That's just
it's a move that a team that is in again.
Is it panic mode? Maybe, Jeff.
I think it's
a little bit.
I think it's the most ridiculous panic move you could have made.
Interesting point. Yeah.
Where the Eagles. We were talking about this before.
Yeah,
Philly wins out, and they're going to be favored. They're favored tonight. They're double digits next week against the Giants. They're going to be close to double digits, if not double digits, against Arizona. And they're going to be a touchdown at least in the Meadowlands week 18.
Yeah, at MetLife for the last game. Yeah,
I don't get. I know the last 2 weeks have looked bad. I get it. But it just feels like you're overreacting to losing to the Niners, who everyone's giving up 40 points to the Niners right now, and the Cowboys, who at home are a juggernaut.
I think it has a ripple effect, to your point, which is real important, Jeff. I think it has a ripple effect to the players, too, the defensive players on the Eagles, right? I mean, here they are. They've got a coordinator who's doing – and they all know it's a business and everything. But it's a reflection on them, too. Now, is it geared to jumpstart them and give them a kick? Because they're not going to replace the defensive player, especially since they have so many defensive injuries still. So, I don't know. Maybe it's a spark. I don't know how they went about announcing it or taking it over. It was quiet. We didn't know about this until yesterday. There was the first report. But I think if you're going to call the team, you're going to call the staff and how you call the team together or the unit together and say, look, here's what. Who knows? We'll find out for sure.
It reeks of desperation when desperation should not be something. Now Seattle is desperate tonight. We get that. You lose tonight, you're 6-8. Even though they're favored in Tennessee next week, they're going to be favored against Pitt. They're going to be favored the last 3 games of the year. You're going to need help, even if they win out.
9. I don't think 9 gets them there if they win out.
9 is
9 is good enough in the Southern Division, right? In the NFC South.
Well, it's interesting now in that division because, by the way, what a loss by Atlanta yesterday. Sorry to bring that up again, Alex. Just an absolute disaster from the Falcons to lose that game 9-7 in front of friends and family in Charlotte yesterday.
Well, you don't sound too sorry.
I didn't.
Because he was smart and he finally stayed away from the Falcons.
Yesterday was the classic me just talking up garbage and not acting on my words. Because I said to Alex, as soon as that game got to the fourth, actually, forget the fourth quarter. As soon as that game got to the third quarter at 7-6, I'm like, this reeks of Atlanta finding a way to lose this game. And boy, they sure found a way to lose the game.
They did.
Vinny.
Oh, yes, they did.
Even by their fashion, it was pretty spectacular. I want to just look ahead. Alex and I talked about
By the way, South Point, just you
just moved
back to 4 tonight. So.
I want to go to Saturday real quick.
Yeah.
Because Buffalo and the Chargers open 14. And you guys are at market high now at 11.5. The people have taken the Chargers just because you see that number. It's like, whoa, I get all these points on the home team. Vinny, I got to be honest with you. I thought the number actually came too short at 14 when it opened. I get why the bettors took it, but I know you don't want to overreact to a team's worst performance and forget worst performance of 2023. It was the worst performance in the history of the franchise, what they did last week against the Raiders. But the way Buffalo's going right now, and they torment awful teams, this kind of feel. And also, by the way, probably going to be 70% Buffalo fans in L.A. on Saturday night as well.
Oh, they do travel well. And we know that, we talk about Allegiant here where the visiting team has great support. I think it's even greater at SoFi.
Well, definitely the
Chargers are playing, right? So, but that's a play on the number. It's still,
of course,
an NFL game with 2 touchdowns. And let's remember this. These are not casual folks that are taking 2 touchdowns, right? These are, professionals. So give it time, settle in. Let's see where we go. Because, look, full disclosure, we're going to need Charger money. And, how we get it and, when we get it is to be determined, right? But let's find out. And so the fact that we got it early, okay. But again, as we get closer to the weekend, there's going to be a lot of public support for the Bills, especially the way they're playing. And that public support will come in the form of money line parlays and teasers. So it's still early. We're focusing on tonight. By the way, and tonight's total just moved to 45.5.
It's hard. It is a lot of points with the Chargers because I was telling Jeff I didn't make it that high, but it's hard to even take it with this team that clearly just Alex. Quit mid-game. And if the Raiders can put 63 on them, who knows what Buffalo could do?
Well, the other thing is too, though, you do see support for a team the following game that a coach gets let go. You do see that.
Oh yeah.
So it did take that into account too.
Work for the Raiders, not so much for Carolina.
Not so much for Carolina,
but
until
they've won a game since firing Reich. Now
I remember I was watching yesterday against the Falcons.
Oh boy!
But he's sorry to bring it up,
but
Alex.
No, all I had to do is just bet it myself. I just didn't. Never did it.
You didn't?
Of course not. Of course not. All bite, Vinny. No substance at this point. Come on now. But
hey, you did jump in game with the Tampa Bay and Packers over.
I did have 2 reasonable in-game bets yesterday. The over second half Green Bay, that wasn't close, and I got there on the final touchdown with Arizona getting 18.5 in game. So there we go. At least I did that.
Yeah.
And then I gave half of it back with Jacksonville last night. So it goes.
You remember that one more? Don't you?
Trust me. I remember that. I'm going to remember that one for a while.
Yeah.
4 drives inside the 40 with no points in the first half. That's usually sign you have you're not going to win a bet on that game, Vinny.
Trust me, you're both very young. I will give you this for the future. You're always going to remember the losses.
Oh, we already do.
Are longer and they will sting longer.
I mean,
but keep firing.
I had the Bears yesterday outright too, so that was a fun one as well. So
it's a flashback Monday.
Flashback Monday, and sure. All right, Vinny.
South Point Studio.
Vinny, we'll let you go back to work.
Yep. So yes, we'll see. We'll see what's happening. Again, current tonight. Eagles 4 and 45.5.
Because we have Mr. Over waiting right now. Mr. Frank Nicotero.
What is he?
Ready.
Where is he?
He's in the corner over there.
Where? I can't see.
He's
in the producer's chair.
Mr. Over himself. Joins us next. Who knows where we'll go? There he is. Look at it. There we go. There he is.
Oh boy!
Oh, look at that. Look at that. He looks like.
Does Jimmy Vaccaro know he's in that seat?
Look like Frank blended in with the chair, going full chameleon right there.
Excellent.
Our guy Frank Nicotero joins us next. Sports by the Book.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. check with the craps dealer for schedules, and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza, plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book, over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
Welcome back in. It's Sports by the Book at the South Point studio. I'm Jeff Parles. Shout out to the crew, Ann and Jerry doing a great job back there as always. Jerry, who I am convinced at one point in his life has dressed up as Puddles the Duck, the actual Puddles the Duck, back there in a secret life back there. Alex White is here, and now joining us, the host of Punchlines, our own funny man, Mr. Over himself, Frank Nicotero.
Well, you know I love to talk about overs. Thank you, Jeff. But I just want to talk about the Atlanta Falcons for a while. I mean, I just figured we should talk. It seems like I just walked in. I don't know what you guys have been talking about.
All
but.
I'm going to tell you, I think it should be fairly obvious to people out there that is a pure get the conversation away from the Jets being a pathetic mess to go to another different pathetic mess. Unfortunately for Alex, she happened to have the Falcons yesterday. It's nothing against Alex.
Yeah,
it's just on the team.
I did have the Dolphins,
You
too,
did have the
and
Dolphins.
the
I mean, the
Chiefs.
Dolphins.
There you go.
and
Let's accentuate the positives here.
Alex had a good day yesterday.
And were there more people? Were there more players or people in Carolina at that game? Because
you know, it's a good question.
Players.
It's a good question. Again, like I said this to Alex yesterday because I used a friends and family remark earlier.
Right, that was funny.
In all honesty, it might have just been family.
It might have been.
I'm not even sure.
I don't think friends showed up to that.
Did you see the conditions in that
Yeah,
game?
it was bad.
They looked miserable. Like the 35-cent tickets that were on StubHub.
Yeah, I saw them.
That was actually above what the market value probably should have been for those tickets.
Could you imagine seeing an NFL game for like 35, 45 cents? That's insane.
That'd be pretty good. Your hot dog would be 10 times the cost.
And the beers, which I'm sure those people sitting in cost. 50 times. I was sitting there in that rain. What else are you going to do but say, well, we might as well drink? And the Carolina, we're not going to see our home team win. And then they win 9-7. Unbelievable.
Good. I'm happy for those fans.
Yes, exactly. Those fans really endured a hell of a game. Yeah. I flicked it on for 5 seconds. I was on the red zone for like 5 seconds, and I was like so bored and just like.
In all honesty, it was probably on the red zone for too long if it was on for 5 seconds.
Exactly,
in a
right.
9-7 game where 3 field goals enough for Carolina yesterday and gets New England back in the race for the number 1 overall pick as well. Really the biggest thing that comes out of that. All right.
Wow.
So, first off, you enjoyed what Alex got?
I loved it. Alex brought that in for Chris and I, and it's I'm not allowed to say the city where it's from, or Jerry will get very upset. I had a specific allotment of times I was allowed to mention my hometown, and I went way over. So speaking of overs. But Alex told me I shouldn't. It's Pittsburgh. I'm going to say it. Anyway, I wasn't allowed to say, there's Jerry.
Well, actually, it's a different show, so he doesn't have to get it.
That's true. What's the over-under of this show? So anyway, yeah, Alex is very sweet to bring that from Enchant. Is it Enchant over at the ballpark?
Yep, Las Vegas ballpark.
Sounds like something fun to do, but it's awesome. And it's like pages from a book or something. And it's really cool. And I got to open it, so we're gonna keep it on the set for Christmas, and then it'll end up on Chris Andrews' desk, I'm sure, over in the sportsbook office, because it's Chris's present too.
And we can't forget our guy Sean, right? He's a Steelers fan too, so
yes, he is.
Gets represented in this studio family.
Exactly. And tonight, I just was listening to Vinny say the lines. They're moving. So do we know who's quarterbacking? I have not heard. Do we have quarterbacks for tonight's game? Who is it?
Jalen Hurts is confirmed.
Hurts is playing.
But Geno Smith is trying, right? He's warming up, but it's not.
How about this? Geno Smith's dealing with a groin injury to play tonight. Ian Rappaport.
Wow.
Just coming down, and you know what? I'm more inclined to bet Philadelphia now. I just it just at this point, Frank, a compromised Geno Smith.
Yes, exactly.
Is the same as Drew
as
Lock.
a healthy Drew Lock, exactly.
And if this line crashes even further, now granted, I think that crash we saw a few minutes ago down to 4 was because the anticipation is Geno was going to play. And now that it's confirmed that he's going to play, I just wonder if we're going to move more. But I think we're done moving. I really do. I really think we're done moving. And if this somehow gets back to 3, this is an auto play on Philadelphia. And if they don't cover,
well, interesting. You should say that I'm at 3.5 in my pick'em league because my buddy puts out the Monday line. So I have 3.5, and I'm currently locked in with Philly. There's like 45 of us in this pick'em league, which I won a couple years ago. I'm currently in third, about 3 or 4 games back from the leader. So once I lock in, I don't like to change them, right? Because then if you get a loss, you feel stupid like you changed. But I have Philly 3.5 right now. So I think I should stick with it.
You're third in that league. You need to start using some of your picks
I know.
for our parlay.
I know. I'm killing it.
You get nervous. You take other people's picks that come on.
I did. Well, thank God. I'm glad Ryan, who I don't know, is Ryan sleeping or is he sick or is he watching? Ryan missed our show this morning. He was under the weather. But yeah, I went with Boise. I went with Kevin's pick on Boise. It looked good first half, and then Boise State crashed in the second half to my Bruins, who I never bet against usually. I don't bet against UCLA usually, but I went with his expertise on that, and it didn't work.
Nothing against Kevin. He has good picks too.
I should have. The Lions. I should have went with the Lions. I liked the Lions, and then I just thought Denver was on a run that they were eventually going to play a really good team that was hot. And I don't know. Dan Campbell's got that team ready on national TV. He had him ready on Saturday. That's for sure.
Not Thanksgiving though.
Not Thanksgiving. Exactly.
Will you tell Jeff about the guy parlay that?
So there's a guy that Alex and I jumped in on. He has a $600 parlay, and I think it was 6 legs. And the last leg is a DK Metcalf anytime touchdown tonight. It'll pay him $55,000.
What's the payout right now?
55,000, or he could take. The offer.
What can he take right now?
16. Yeah, there it is. There he could take 16,000, I think. And he said you're going to have to make a better offer, whoever this guy is. So
why is it all these ridiculous numbers that have come over the last month? All of them have come out of Hard Rock in Florida. It seems like.
That's where that guy hit that.
Every single one of them has come out of that.
That's why you can start it with a Florida man. A Florida man. It's a Florida man made an outrageous.
Or a man betting in Florida.
A man betting in Florida.
Yeah.
We'll flip it around for betting, but So Alex, you liked the Kraken.
Yep. Dallas Stars over 6.
Right. So we did a Seattle parlay. We took DK Metcalf anytime touchdown and the over in the Kraken Stars tonight. So we're in on that. So that's the Seattle Metcalf Kraken.
But what would you do? Would you cash out?
Yeah, would you take that?
You'd let it ride.
I don't know what I would do. The problem is with most of these books is that they don't let you lay the no price on the other side. And if you had a big enough bankroll, that would be the obvious hedge.
Right.
Lay the other side on.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Yeah.
But these books, especially the new age ones, just don't let you do that. So I don't know what I would do. I think I would. What was the cash out number one more time, Frank?
16,000, a little over 16, or go for 55. And you had some good numbers on DK Metcalf, right? He's been scoring touchdowns left and right. Dallas obviously had 3.
Yep, 3 of his last 4. He's had at least 1. And
58, 5 or 16. I think I'd let it ride. It's close.
Yeah.
Though. I think I let it.
and
it's close.
Cash now.
It's close. Well, it's essentially what? That's 50. All right. See, now we're just going to show how.
See, I need my breaks done. That's break money right there.
It's basically a plus 362 bet at that point if you're going off the cash out.
Okay.
So basically, it's
3 times. Oh,
yeah. So that's what it would end up being. My math may be.
That sounds
be a
right.
little high.
It's 3.5. Yeah.
It's close. What's DK Metcalf's anytime touchdown is going to be less than that. I don't know.
What is it? Plus 170?
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine it's probably under 2-1 now, especially with Gino. I don't know what I would do. I'm never going to be in that scenario anyway. I'm not good. I'm not a good enough bettor for one, and I don't run lucky enough in order to be in that scenario.
Well, you know what's crazy about that one is usually it's these $5 parlays, these $10 parlays that people do like 10, 12 legs. This guy put up $600. That's a lot of money to put up on a parlay.
It is. That's why even when he was like, how much did he put up? And I was like, Was it 60 or 600?
600, yeah.
60 sounded more reasonable.
That's usually the kind you see on the social
all
media.
I'll say is I'm sure the Hard Rock likes his or her business a lot.
Sure.
If
he's doing 600 on a six-legger.
I can't even imagine how many that person has lost.
Has lost, yeah.
At that number so far this year. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it because I'm obviously in an ornery mood here today. Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed. Again, I think that the old saying is if you have two quarterbacks, you have none. So in Pittsburgh's case, if you have three quarterbacks, you have way none. So again, meaning, look, if you don't know who you're starting among two or three quarterbacks, that means you don't have your definite starter. Now, there is a chance that Kenny Pickett could play, I'm reading, that his ankle. I don't play him in that game.
Tomlin didn't rule it out.
I didn't roll it out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Mason Rudolph's been there forever. He knows the system better than Mitch, better than Kenny probably. And I think at this point it's like, sure, why not? I mean, he came in. I thought it was kind of insulting to him to put him in when they did at the end of the game. It was like we're down 14 with 3 minutes, and that was almost like garbage time, But I don't know. I think the team has confidence in him. A lot of the vets that have been there. We'll see if Mason. I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of the Rudolph and Christmas time. I mean, I'm all for it. I think we knew what Mitch Trubisky is and was and is ever going to be. He's going to throw some air passes. He's a pseudo gunslinger, but he's not Brett Favre, So I figure why not? At this point, if the Steelers made the postseason, it would be embarrassing anyway. So, I mean, they would lose by 40 points to the Chiefs.
I have a few Steeler fans I went to college with.
Yeah.
Is this the end?
I think they have to part ways mutually.
You do.
Or something. I mean, Chris was even saying that, I think, today. It's just, I mean, it's the same things he says every time. And it's just time. I mean, look at like the Eagles did. Doug Peterson wins the Super Bowl. They fire him, bring in Sirianni. It's just, the Steelers have only had 3 coaches my entire life. I mean, really, they've had Noel and Cowher and Tomlin. So obviously, they
unbelievable stability.
It's unbelievable. It'll probably never be done again in any of the big. Well,
until they hire the 4th coach that coaches for 15 years.
Exactly. So until
whoever gets that job, gonna do that
20 years. So I don't know. If he stayed, I mean, is it like, I'll give him one more shot? But he really, I mean, the last 3 playoff games, they've given up 40 points a game. So, I mean, they're just not ready for the playoffs either.
It's
Blake Bortles.
It's interesting. Yeah. Trust me, I know that one too.
You know that one.
I was on Pittsburgh then.
We all were.
And then I was on Jacksonville the following week on the money line. They should have won that game, regardless. But it's interesting because this offseason with the coaches, and I don't want to go too far in advance here,
sure.
But I actually think I agree with you on the Tomlin end.
Yeah.
Where we're seeing, and maybe the young wide receivers just don't have the brains.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the case. But the fact that in back-to-back weeks you have video clips of Deontay Johnson just not trying on a run play, and then Pickens does it again, legitimately the following week, it's just a lack of accountability.
Yeah.
But
he jumped out of the way of the tackle, though. He jumped out of the way.
He made sure he didn't hurt his ankle.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But in the offseason, I would be stunned if Belichick is back in New England. I would be stunned.
Yeah.
And where Tomlin seems to be available, and one of my Steeler fan friends said that this is actually, you brought up Philadelphia, I'm actually going to go a different angle on that. It's basically when Andy Reid's time expired.
Yep.
Where Andy Reid, by every account, he went under 500 one time in Philadelphia.
Wow. Yeah.
And it was his final season. They went 4-12, and that was it. And he goes to Kansas City, and now he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Sure.
Tomlin, who I think is a Hall of Fame head coach, you would have liked for him to win more than just that one.
Which he still has time, obviously.
But he could still win more, whether it's in Pittsburgh or elsewhere.
Right.
If I were a team like, and I know this may come as a shock, I'm out on Doug Peterson. And I'm especially out on the rest of that staff down there. I think Press Taylor is awful as the offensive play caller.
Okay.
If I'm Jacksonville, and forget the Chargers, who are the obvious one.
I think Washington too, though.
Yeah. If
he's from Northern Virginia, so
if I'm Mike Tomlin, I don't care that it's new ownership. I want nothing to do with that team.
Probably not.
But a coach like Tomlin or Belichick goes to Jacksonville more so than the Chargers. More so than the Chargers, who I think are in a lot more cap hell than people realize.
Right.
That team wins that division right away with Trevor Lawrence, and they're a threat to make it to the Super Bowl out of the AFC.
I've not heard that. Yeah, that's interesting.
And for me, Tomlin, I actually think Tomlin with the Chargers is the absolute perfect fit Tomlin gets to go live in good weather
LA.
after living 15 years in Pittsburgh. And you get Justin Herbert. You need that defense to be fixed. Tomlin should be able to fix that defense pretty quickly with the pieces that he has.
Yeah.
But it is weird that this offseason where you legitimately, Tomlin and Belichick, the two longest tenured coaches in their spots right now, Belichick's definitely going to be out.
Yeah.
And I think Tomlin should be out too. I think that should be someone called the Steelers. They're not going to fire him. I think you're going to try to trade him and try to get.
I think they are. For him. Yeah. And then give me is it Ben Johnson, the guy in Detroit, the Lions guy, who's going to be a hot
get in line, my friend.
I know he's going to. But you don't think he wouldn't want to go to Pittsburgh? Or there's stability, and it's proven that you could do 20 years, and they're not going to pull the trigger on you.
Do I want Kenny Pickett as my quarterback?
Who says Kenny Pickett's? Yeah,
well, that's also a valid question. But
although isn't it similar to Jared Goff though in a lot of ways? I mean, I don't know. Goff was kind of given up on. I think Pickett just hasn't had the right system.
It's Ben Johnson is going to be in the running for every single
job. Sure.
Every job that's open. Ben Johnson, if he wants to interview it, will be able to interview it. By the way, also there's also a chance like Vrabel could be out in Tennessee. Like like Vrabel could
started his career with the Steelers.
Well, talk about trading for a coach.
Yeah.
Vrabel was legitimately honored by the Patriots earlier in the year.
True.
And in Robert Kraft's booth.
But he started as a Steeler, so you never know.
Yeah,
he would
make sense in New England.
Or aren't they saying, is it O.J. Mayo or who's
Gerard Mayo.
O.J. Mayo is a basketball player.
That's a big difference.
O.J. Mayo played for the Trojans.
That's a big leap. I'm not even going to mention what happened to O.J. Mayo.
I forget.
Big difference.
He went to USC, though, hoops.
O.J. Mayo was a great college player.
I think I saw him play. I think I saw a game at
He's currently USC. All right. Do you want to guess what league OJ Mayo currently plays?
Is he in your G League?
No.
Is he in the overseas Greek?
Try again.
European?
No, not even European country. Not even a European.
What other league is there? The WNBA. Is he in the is he transitioning? Is he? I don't know. You never know.
He's playing in Egypt right now.
They're the best league ever.
The Egyptian Basketball Super League.
Come on.
How could I make that up?
By the way, there's a baseball league that I didn't even know about. What is this baseball league with 4 teams? In Saudi Arabia?
Yes, I don't know what its name, but Bartolo Colon.
Bartolo Colon, the first strikeout.
Bartolo Colon's the ace of the league.
He's 50 years old.
Yes.
It's
a bunch of real guys like Robinson Cano's playing in it, Didi Gregori, like Pablo Sandoval, like there's real names that are playing.
Is it new?
It's in
yes.
Okay.
It's in is it Saudi Arabia?
No,
or the UAE, United Arab Emirates.
Dubai was where they're playing the game.
So it's 4 teams. They the older players, they're allowed to have a pinch runner for them. So if someone gets on base, they don't want him to run. They have, oh my God. You know what? We're doing this on Punchlines tomorrow. They have tables in the outfield, in the foul grounds, these tables in the middle of foul grounds with like a plexiglass protectant around them. So you can sit in foul territory, like right in left field.
So it's actually Baseball United is what it's called.
Baseball United, okay.
Baseball United is what it's called. Bartolo Colon's team technically is the Karachi Monarchs in Pakistan.
The Monarchs, of course, are the best.
The other teams, there's a Dubai team, the Dubai Wolves, the Abu Dhabi Falcons, and the Mumbai Cobras. So this is a league that is in India, Pakistan, and UAE.
Yeah, 4 teams. I guess they just play each other all the time. I don't know. But you got to see the tables. You know, I'll show it tomorrow on Punchlines. You got to
get out on Punchlines.
Tomorrow on Punchlines. I saw the story last night, and I was going to run it, but we ended up having too much, and we had Alex and we had Chris. Yeah, it's amazing. There's other rules I'm forgetting about, but Cologne had the first strikeout ever.
You're gonna love this.
Okay.
The GM of the Mumbai Cobras
is
Barry Larkin.
MVP for the Reds. Barry Larkin was awesome. Hall of Famer.
Adrian Beltre is the GM of the Karachi team. And King Felix is the GM of the Dubai team.
You know they threw
legitimately the people
threw
who
so much money.
Are very smart.
Yes, they threw
they legitimately
money.
Just said, "All right, who are the most
big names,
famous names that we could get to be associated with this league?"
They got Hall of Famers.
They essentially got them all.
Yeah, I mean Beltre's a Hall of Famer lock. And King Felix, I don't know if he played long enough. He should be too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and
who's the 4th GM? Wait.
I don't know because the Abu Dhabi team does not have a Wikipedia page.
Well, that's how they operate. They like everything to come through their website. I think it's a .net. I don't know. But it's an unbelievable. How do we get on? Oh, we were talking about OJ Mayo. He's in the Egypt Basketball League. All right.
At least we didn't go to food today, so we kept it sports.
Actually, here's another fun one name for you, real quick. Miguel Tejada's a manager of one of these teams.
That's both shows. Miguel Tejada was mentioned on both shows in this studio today.
What a parlay!
I mentioned Miguel. I mentioned Miguel Tejada because I was talking about how a lot of Dominican players, you don't know their real age in baseball.
Yes.
And then they finally cracked down and found birth certificates. And one year was Alejandro Pena, Jeff, for the Pirates.
Oh.
They found out he was 3 or 4 years older, so at his birthday in spring training, they gave him 4 cakes. They're like, we missed a few birthdays. He was really like 44 when, he was telling people he was 39.
By the way, the Abu Dhabi's GM is Nick Swisher.
Oh, it's a good ball player, not a Hall of Famer, but he played with the Yankees and the White Sox. He won a series.
I don't remember if this guy played for the Pirates. Did Dennis Cook pitch for the Pirates?
No, I don't think so. But he played for. He was a lefty, right?
Yeah,
he played Phillies. I always think of Phillies.
He was on. I know he was on the Mets, but he's one of the managers as well.
They got a lot of talent.
They got a lot of names.
Do we have lines on that, Chris? Get us some lines on Baseball United.
Oh man, see, you never know. Like I said, you never know where we're gonna go when Frank.
This is true.
By the way, you're back with us on Thursday this week.
Yeah,
because you're going to be where on the property is Frank Nicotero.
We're going to do that. It's like Carmen Sandiego.
We're going to have to get the Carmen Sandiego.
Exactly. I'm going to be back in the arena where the horses were. But do we tell them where we are? No, it's a surprise.
No, I don't want to know where you are.
I'll be somewhere.
I want to kick to you and be like, Frank, where are you?
I'm there.
At some point, I expect you at the buffet line during this.
As long as it's free, I'll do that. As long as if I get free food out of it, we'll do it.
There we go. See.
Yeah, but Thursday will be fun.
You're in the buffet and you're not just in the line.
That's what. Yeah, exactly. Come on, I should be eating.
Cooking up the omelets. I think that probably would be a health violation. But,
probably.
But regardless,
you don't want me cooking anything, but you don't want me cooking.
Frank, pleasure as always.
Thank you for having me, guys. As always.
Alex, good job. I'm Jeff Parles. She's Alex White. That's Frank Nicotero and Jerry. Great work. Thanks to Vinny as well for being with us today. Hey, I didn't sneeze the whole show with the Christmas tree right in front of us.
Oh, shit.
It's a big deal. For that one. We'll see you on Thursday on this show at 3 o'clock Pacific time. Sports by the Book.